So, we just bought a house. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen that. I got a lot of questions immediately when I posted about it, people asking what the process was like for us, because I know that home buying can be a very complicated process, and it's just something that a lot of people don't know a lot about if they haven't done it before. So I thought this would be fun to look back at, because, you know, it's our first house and it's just a fun chapter in our lives that we're excited about. Okay, so the first question is, what style house did you go for?
Ranch.
It's a ranch.
It's a ranch.
Yeah.
With a private courtyard.
Yeah.
That is fenced in.
Yeah.
And they take care of all the grass and all the what is that? Shrubbery.
Yeah,
in the
landscaping.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. They take care of all that outside of our courtyard.
Yeah. We looked for. You originally were the one that wanted a ranch. I think I was kind of like, why would you want a house that's one story? I think because I always lived in a house that was 2 stories, like my entire childhood growing up. So I was like, oh, you have to have 2 stories. I mean, we have a basement, but I always lived in a 2-story house above ground. So I was like, man, ranch, what? But like, it's so great.
It's so nice.
I love that. Like, our house is not massive. It's 2 bedroom and 1 office. It's not, well, 2 offices and 1 bedroom now, but only 2 of the rooms are bedrooms because they have doors and a second exit. I think what makes something a bedroom, yeah, is a second exit, like a window escape. A lot of people are like, wait, did you buy the house in Nashville? I'm like, no, we bought the house in St. Louis. If we were moving back to Nashville, I would have known. What was the biggest draw to the house?
For me, ranch, lots of windows.
Yeah.
Unique floor plan. Like, it's like it's not cookie cutter, square rooms.
Yeah.
And then obviously the biggest one for me is like having them do the lawn mowing and all that stuff, snow removal. They do our driveway, removing the snow. Like, that's nasty. We both work a lot. We don't have time to.
It's a low maintenance community, so they mow all the grass that's outside of our fence, soon to be fence, because we don't have that yet. But
thank God.
Yeah, so we'll have to buy a small lawnmower, but that won't be like that big of an issue.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's not a huge one.
Right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna buy a hand one.
Hindsight 2020. I don't know.
No.
Someone just said, how do you start? I'm like, okay, for real. We had the conversation that we were going to buy a house. Looked on Zillow. There was a contact on Zillow. We got in contact with that person. She took us through a tour of the home. And then she was like, here's what you need to do next. And we just did it. Like, everyone along the way, they know, because it's what they do for a living. So we didn't have a realtor or anything like that, but say we had, you would just get in contact with a realtor, and then they guide you.
Yeah, right. You don't need a realtor to buy a house.
It just makes it easier.
Not necessarily.
I don't know.
No, you don't need a realtor. You can use a realtor, but you don't have to. You need a realtor for selling a house.
Oh.
It's a lot easier to sell your house
usually
with a realtor.
If you're not a first-time home buyer, probably selling a house and also then buying a house.
Yeah. But if you're just buying a house, no, you just look on Zillow, look on, what are the other ones? Trulia.
Like Realtor.com.
Yeah. Like, I'd say look at your budget first, narrow down the highest that you would be willing to pay per month. You know, and like what you can afford to put a down payment on and things like that, and then to narrow down the area you want to live in, ideally, and maybe some secondary, tertiary areas, and then start looking in those areas and go from there. And for us, we lived in a pretty nice apartment, and for us, it just made a lot more sense, I think. Like, all right, we're spending this much every month and getting 0 equity. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, I thought I'd live in an apartment the rest of my life. But like, you know, after looking at it month after month after month, and we lived on the 4th floor and had to take the dogs down.
Yeah.
If we lived on the 1st floor and could just walk the dogs right out, we probably would have never looked for a house this soon.
Yeah.
We're just like, man, this is getting old.
It's a lot of energy.
And people, like, other people having dogs and, like...
having to, like, open the door and, like, look outside the apartment and then, like, hold them tightly and clench your butt cheeks together when you see other dogs. Someone asked, or I guess commented, share one of your must-haves when house shopping. Oh, so, like, when we were looking at the house, the one house we looked at, something that was, like, a must-have for us, I would say it was a fenced-in yard for the dogs.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been not pointless, because still amazing to take your dogs out just the front yard instead of having to go down 4 to 5 flights of stairs. Like, that's still way better, but I was kind of like, what's the point of a house if you don't have a yard for the dogs? For us, like, what would be the point?
Yeah. For me, it was, if we could find somewhere where they would do the landscaping and all that, that was huge for me.
Yeah.
That was huge for me. Like, I didn't think we were going to get that because we were planning on building a new house, like, from scratch.
Yeah.
But then we walked into this one that was almost finished already, and we got lucky. It was in a community where they do all of the landscaping and snow removal and all that stuff for you. So
yeah, we got lucky.
That was big for me, and then I wanted a ranch pretty badly. I just think that they make more sense, and I didn't want to have... I'm more of a minimalist-ish, not really, but, like, I try to live with... Like, I try not to just buy stuff to buy stuff anymore like I did when I was younger. And so I wanted a place that we couldn't just buy a bunch of shit and then just have tons of shit that we never use, and it's just shit sitting around. So living in a little bit of a smaller house versus a bigger house
keeps you from just, like, buying excessive amounts of stuff. Because you're like, oh, we can put that in the blank.
Right.
Like, now we're like, oh, we don't have room for that. Like, let's not buy that.
I don't
think that will be excessive, holiday decorators, because, I mean, we have a basement, but I don't want to get in the habit of, like, oh, we'll just throw it in the basement.
Yeah.
Because when we go to finish the basement, we'll have nowhere to do anything. Someone said, did you have to do a lot of renovation before you move into it? No. We didn't have to do any sort of... It was a new house, but we wanted to... Because I do social media for most of what I do for a living, having somewhere to film, try-on hauls, stuff like that was important to me. Like, it's part of my job. And so we wanted closet build-outs. And just from a practical standpoint, closets... They're not a waste of space, but when all they put in there is just a rack, I'm like, well, that is kind of a waste of space, because all you've got is a rack. It's better to, like, if you've got a whole room, to put, like, cabinets and drawers and different hanging spots. So we did do a closet build out in his office, which is where his closet is. So it was like the second bedroom we turned into his office. And in his office, he has his closet, so we did a closet build out for that. And I did a closet build out, and my office has a build out just for, like, storage. And since it is a smaller home, we do at least want to make, the most practical use out of it by creating efficient storage space for ourselves within that.
And have it be sexy.
Yeah.
It's gotta be sexy.
So that was kind of like something that we wanted to do before we moved in, because we knew that once we moved all our clothes in, having to move your clothes out for them to do a closet, like, oh, that's just not, it's like moving twice. Like, why would we do that? So, yeah.
And we had a couple of the walls painted for, like, accent walls to give the house depth and character. And
someone asked, how did you decide on paint colors? How did we decide on paint colors?
Just like we did the house, we walked in and immediately picked, like, 3 colors. It took us 4 minutes.
Our eyes just went to one, and we were like, okay, I like this one. This will look good on a wall.
Well, our kitchen is, like, white.
Yeah.
Our countertops are, like, light colored white and cream and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just think it made sense to do, like, dark
neutrals.
Accents.
Yeah.
To, like, give it some pop.
Dick.
Just, like, give it some dick.
Yeah. Someone asked, okay, we kind of already answered this part. part, what were some of your must-haves in a home? We already answered that, but what were our must-nots?
I really wanted a new house.
Yeah.
I didn't want...
Oh, let's stop. I have to poop.
Oh, I hope that goes on there. I really wanted a new house. I didn't want to have to do renovations.
Yeah.
So that was, like, big for me. A yard with a fence for the boys.
And, like, the market is so crazy right now that older homes are still almost as expensive. I mean, they're still a little bit less expensive than a new home, but, like, when you move into an old home, I just feel like you don't know the situation of, like, what, you know, could go wrong in the house right away. Like, the plumbing is older, everything about the house is already immediately older, and so I just feel like you could move in and potentially have to spend a lot of money replacing things in the first couple of years that you live there, and you have no idea really, you know, what that's going to look like.
You're going to have to change stuff that...
Yeah. And
paint colors and all that stuff. You're going to spend money anyways.
Yeah.
So
and
just lucky.
like we have a 30-year mortgage, so over the span of 30 years, it's like your mortgage might be like a couple $100 difference. It's like maybe just save a little more. Don't spend as frivolously on things like Starbucks or whatever to put that money towards having a newer home, like the home that you want. How did we decide what neighborhood to move into?
We knew where we wanted to be. We wanted to be close to my gym. We knew a couple of pockets that we wanted to be in and that we could afford. I don't know, the city we moved to, we love it. We loved going there the last summer, this summer, been there a lot, and we got lucky that we found a house that...
And it's out, you know, like in a real, like, quiet area. Like, there's not a whole lot. Like, there's a little bit by us, but it's not anything crazy. Like, we're not, you know, in a downtown where we have no yard or no walking space or no, like, area to walk the dogs or anything. It's out, like, pretty mildly secluded, but, like, still around people. I feel like it's just in a perfect area. We also weren't, like, we kind of just needed to be close-ish to your gym.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be further than, like, whatever, 15 minutes from driving, and we just looked at a radius of, like, those type of houses so that we didn't get too far, because the commute is just not a good time.
And we also wanted to move out of our apartment by the time our lease ended. Just everything just worked out.
Yeah, we basically had a conversation on a Saturday that, like, let's look at houses. On Sunday, he found one that we liked. We drove over there, we got out of the car, we walked around the outside and peeked in the windows. On Sunday night, we reached out to them to schedule a tour for Monday. On Tuesday, we brought your parents there, and they gave us their okay. And then on Wednesday, we got pre-approved, and on Thursday, we were under contract. Like, it was so quick. We're both so decisive. We literally went into one house. We looked at one house, and we were like, yep. This is it. We love this house. We love this floor plan.
Yeah.
The floor plan just sold me. It's such a, like...
unique.
Because it's a new house. Sometimes new houses just are very cookie cutter. The way that they're built now, they just are. Which is fine. But we wanted something that had, like, some sort of character and charm and uniqueness to it. And our floor plan is really unique. And so we love that about it. Someone said, how miserable was it going through the process of buying a house, being self-employed? It wasn't hard, just simply because I've been, like, on top of doing my taxes, and, like, as long as you just keep that stuff, like, in order, it's the same process. They ask for things and you provide them with it. Your lender asks you for, I need all your 1099s versus a W-2. Someone said, will you set up a gym? I would like to set up at least a small area in the third car garage part of our garage, just because I want to be able to film my workouts not around a lot of people. I love natural light when I'm able to film. With my training program, it would be really nice to just be able to film right there, like, just whenever I want. I don't have to ask him if I can go film in his gym, or, like, go film in a public gym, or, you know, it would just be nice to have my own space to be able to do that whenever I want. So nothing crazy though, like just a few mats in the garage, like a few of those, whatever, the ones that like piece together, and then like some dumbbells and a barbell, because that's pretty much all I use when I work out anyway. I just use a lot of like free weights. All right, we're back on the road. Someone asked, why pick a new build over an existing home? I guess we kind of already talked about that, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I just think that also, like, we wanted to make it ours, and we're into like energy and, well, I just mean like we're into like energy and like, you know, we like to keep like our office. You like to keep your office a certain way.
Like
I like
fresh,
to keep
and clean and airy.
Yeah, I like to keep my stuff like a certain way, and just going into a new home, like we're the first people to live there, the first people to bring energy into that space. I don't know. I just think that since we could afford it, and it fell in our lap, like it just made sense.
Yeah.
It was already 85% finished, so it wasn't like we had to start the process from zero and wait 6 months for a house to be built.
2 years.
It was less than 2 months from the day we saw it and decided to buy it on the first day.
I'm like, shoot, that was always screenshotted. This was probably pretty long at this point. Do you feel like we touched on a lot? Like, is there anything else that you would share about it? I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm also brain dead because we've been moving. We did decide, just because both of us have done a lot of moves ourselves, that we were like, you know what, let's just move what we can, save money on movers. So we decided to move as much as we could by ourselves, like our clothes, all our stuff in the kitchen, all the little small things that can fit in my car and in his, that we moved ourselves, and then we hired movers for the big stuff. Wow, look at all those sheep.
Wow, a lot of sheep.
Holy shit. Sheep farm.
Yeah, I think that it was, well, we also had a long time to move out. We had like 3 weeks from the time that, 2.5 weeks. So we could just do a little bit every day. Like, why not? Just.
Gigi, why?
Little boy.
Baby Gigi, you stay there. You stay there, little boy.
Hey, Mr. Boy.
I can't think of anything else that I would want to share about it.
Well, I mean, we got good advice from like all of my friends that own houses too, to not move your stuff in right away if you're gonna paint rooms. If you're gonna have, even if you paint it, but if you're gonna have painters, either or, like do that before you move everything in, because it's cheaper if you have painters do it, because they don't have to move furniture, they have to tape off less, they don't have to tarp everything, takes less time. And it's just all around easier. So before we moved everything in, we set up the painters to come like the day after. It's 7 a.m. Yeah. We closed on Friday. At 7 a.m. on Saturday, they came to paint all the stuff that we wanted painted. And the moving process has been so smooth, and we're not spending like a full day or like...
Yeah, and thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
like,
it would do it slowly.
It probably would have been like at least $1,500 to move us.
Yeah,
I would bet.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of furniture we have and
we'll probably pay $450, $500.
Yeah, for what we have now. So we saved a little bit of money that we can spend on like patio furniture or whatever. So it's been, I've done most moves with just my dad. The only moves that I paid movers for were when I moved to St. Louis. I had Robert and his guys move me.
What up, Robert?
And then Robert had also moved me from one apartment to another in Nashville. Are you glad we bought a house?
Am I glad?
Yeah.
Yeah, duh. I'm so excited. So excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
That's amazing.
I was so, like, I never thought I would buy a house. Watching this back, 2 things. When Jeff is talking, I say, yeah, a lot. And my mom has always, like, made fun of me for saying yeah so much. And I never knew why she was doing that. And I'm like, wow, I say that a lot. I say it to like affirm the other person that I'm listening when I'm not facing them. Like when they're next to me, I want them to know that I'm listening to them. So I'm like, yeah. So just be aware that if you notice that, I also notice that. This is the first time I've really noticed it like a lot. So there's that. Also, so sleep deprived while we were filming this. We had been moving, so I filmed this weekend, and we'd been moving things for a week, and we had to go to Kansas City for the weekend for his nephew's birthday, and so we were just so sleep deprived, and I feel like I kind of just look a little zombie-esque, but I don't want to refilm it because I like you guys being able to see just our first reaction, our authentic responses to things, so excuse that I'm just a little tired and repetitive with the yes. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and it means the world to me if you guys subscribe and give this a thumbs up. Can't speak.